Welcome to the Hooch, where the only place more messed up than your hosts is the barracks on a Friday night or the VA. So get ready to stand by for your weekly dose of toilet humor and shenanigans from your fellow veterans, Coy Mack and Michael Grizzled Grunt Harris.
And welcome back to the Hooch, everybody. You got Coy Mack here and the one, the only Michael Harris. How's it going, Michael?
What is going down?
It's going. It's going. That's what it is.
It's always going.
This timeline in our world sucks so damn hard, my friend. I went off. It was just as simple as that. It's like I went off of this world.
I want to redo. Somebody hit that reset button on this movie or this video game we're in, because I literally
the simulation.
I am tired of this earth and this world right now as we speak.
It is. Ever since the Hadron Collider was turned on, everything, including the Mandela effects, has just messing with everybody's brains. Like, I think it all started with the Hadron Collider in Harambe. When Harambe got killed is when everything went to shit.
We are all Harambe, all. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, you're right. When they turned on the Hadron Collider, you know, CERN, if anybody doesn't know, in Geneva, I think. Geneva, Switzerland.
I think it was Geneva.
And when they turned that on, the whole Mandela effect was going on. Denzel Washington's not Denzel. Denzel is weird how they say it. What else is Fruit of a Loom change?
Yeah, the cornucopia. It's always had the cornucopia, right? Like, I'm not the only one that's nuts.
What I thought.
Yeah. Like, I remember the 90s commercials, they always had the cornucopia on Fruit of the Loom. Like, there's no way it didn't exist. And
they're saying it's not there.
And Bernstein Bears.
Home Depot. Wasn't Home Depot just Home Depot? But now they're saying it's the Home Depot. I'm like, what?
Home Depot.
Where did that "the" come from?
It's the little things that really drive home the Mandela effect. Like, every single time, it's always the little stuff. Like, it's not major changes, it's the little changes that are like, nah, that doesn't seem right. You know?
Now, you know, there was a Michael Jackson song that changed. Movies. It's just like, it makes you rethink your own reality, man. You're like, wait a minute. It really does,
man. Oh, God. I just went off. That's what it is. Everything that's happening right now in the culture war is nutty and is not getting any better. It really isn't. But before we get into that, I want to do something a little fun. My wife comes up with the best questions to start off the show, so I wanted to ask you, if you could only watch 4 shows for the rest of your life, these only 4 shows. Originally, it was movies, but I didn't think movies was good enough for only watching for the rest of your life, because at max, that's like, 24 hours maybe, if depending on the movies you choose. So I went with, if you could only watch 4 shows, what would they be?
I don't watch a lot of TV.
But if there were ones you could watch repeatedly, what would they be?
Oh, it'd be a lot of older shows. That's
fine. It doesn't matter.
Damn, that's a tough one.
I know, right? It is.
Because there's so many. I would say Good Times is one. I really enjoy watching Good Times. The Cosby Show. I can watch the Cosby Show, you know, over and over again.
Even with Bill Cosby doing his druggies.
You know, I don't think about all that stuff, man. I just like the show.
I separate the artist from the work.
I separate the artist from the work. I separate his character from who he is in real life.
Right.
Let's see. I like a lot of historical stuff, so probably, you know, any History Channel, you know, show over and over again, historical stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I should have thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love, you know, history. I love watching that. And any episode, like any good podcast, man, like I could watch episode after episode after episode.
I didn't include podcasts, but that might be okay in this day and age.
They are Jesse Lee Peterson. I can watch him all day. Amazing.
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 The two top ones I went with was Stargate SG-1, right?
Oh,
Was the first one, and the other one was crap. I forgot what it was. One of them was either Family Guy, South Park, or The Simpsons, just because of how long their seasons are. Right? Oh, I remember the other one, Supernatural, because they have 15 seasons. I went strategic with my thoughts. I was like, which has the most seasons and most rewatchability? Right? So Simpsons has 28 seasons that you can pick from, right? So it's one of the longest running TV shows. You get tons of that. Then you can also go with like doing Frasier or Cheers, which would be another good option because they both have 10 seasons and they're good shows. So you could choose either one of those to get in that maximum range. And then there's some anime that you could do, like One Piece or Dragon Ball Z or something like that. Something that has a lot of episodes that you can watch. That would, if those are the only shows I could watch for the rest of my life, that's what they would be. I think. I mean,
would it be you got to watch an episode a day type of thing?
No, I mean, no. It's whether you're binging or not. It's just these are the only shows you can watch forever, right, for the rest of your life.
You'd have to go all the way back to like Tracy Ullman.
Mm-hmm.
The original Simpsons. That's
right.
like
so
a throwback.
You would have a ton of leeway with The Simpsons for sure. If that was only one of the shows you picked and you had three others, Simpsons on top would be one of the best you could pick because it has the most episodes.
Like for me in history, I can watch that stuff all day, every day. You know, starting from a certain point of history all the way into another point of history. I just enjoy really, and I don't trust the History Channel per se, but
right.
I really don't trust what they put out. But there are some, good shows that they do put out that are, historically correct, but a lot of it's opinion based.
Yeah, it really is. So that was my decisions. Like with the way that the culture war is going, pretty much every TV show that's happening right now is absolute dog shit. In my opinion, I can barely find anything to watch. And if I had to watch 4 shows through the rest of my life, those would be it. And this is what makes me really sad, is because what's happening right now is, especially with, which will bring me into the first topic I guess we'll go with, is The Mandalorian Season 3. Michael and I disagree on this, but most people are really finding a drop in quality with Season 3. I am not the only one that feels this way. There are a lot of other people that feel that Season 3 has dropped the ball significantly. And my theory is that Kathleen Kennedy, in her infinite stupidness, has put her hands in the pot against not Dave Filoni, but freaking Favreau, when he was so the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau had no input from the higher ups, right? Kathleen Kennedy and her stupidness, he was insulated for the first 2 seasons. So they were really good. But I think what happened is when they got rid of Bob Iger, right, who was a former CEO of Disney, he lost his insulation. And now what we're seeing is Kathleen Kennedy coming in and retconning everything he's did. So the Book of Boba Fett, that was her doing. Right? So getting Grogu back from Luke Skywalker, that was her retconning his map that he had for The Mandalorian and the extended shows. And so now Kathleen Kennedy's coming in and going, I want to make everything woman-centric in Star Wars. And this is what's happening. And this is what we're seeing inside of The Mandalorian, is we're now going away from Din Djarin and we're going to Bo-Katan. I like Bo-Katan. Don't get me wrong. I like Bo-Katan Kryze as a character. I just wish she had her own show, right? Because Din Djarin is what made your flagship product on Disney Plus, and now you're trying to kill him off. I think that's what they're going to do in this next episode. In the last episode, coming on Wednesday, they're going to kill Din Djarin off. Or they're going to mind wipe him or something. That's why they brought the Mind Flayer in. They're going to wipe his mind, and he's going to be an evil Mandalorian. And then we're going to have to deal with that whole bit.
Yeah, maybe. But, I really enjoyed it, man. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, freaking, what's his name? Jar Jar Binks. What's the guy's name?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
I enjoyed that part. I like seeing the Jedis make their way. I enjoyed the, how, when they take off their helmet and they pretty much get banished and they have to, go into the lake to be forgiven. I really enjoyed that, that part. I enjoyed the fight on that planet
Yeah.
to where the pirates came. I enjoyed that.
There are definitely good moments in the show, and I think those good moments are Jon Favreau's doing. Everything else that's shitty comes from Kathleen Kennedy and her ilk.
Yeah.
So, like, all the things that, like, where they do the fetch quests and then, like, there seems like there's no plot. They're just like, okay, what we got to do is we got to go to this place and get the thing and do the stuff. When it's like, all I wanted you to do was focus on the resurrection of Mandalore. That's what we really wanted. We cared about that storyline, and then you broke it up with all this other nonsense for no reason, right? And then bringing Jack Black and Lizzo into it is like, there was literally no reason for that episode. Like, that could have been cut all completely out, and they could have just gone to Jack's Wolves, and that would have been the end of the episode, because that's all we really cared about. I didn't care about, we got to go fetch these bad droids for no freaking reason other than they wanted to expand out another hour. That's what it felt like to me. I didn't like it at all.
I mean, that's with any show. I mean, there is not one show on the planet Earth where every single episode is on point. Even the last 2 seasons of Mandalorian, there were some episodes you were kind of like, oh, this is boring, or this is, then, of course they're going to make up for it the next episode. So they're always going to make up for it. They're always going to give you that little kind of boring episode. Then you're going to watch the next week. You're going to be like, oh, hell yeah. Then it's going to get you to watch the next episode. It's going to be semi. Then the next one's going to come out. So I understand why they're doing that.
To me, there was just too much of a drop of quality. Like, first 2 seasons were great, especially when they had Gina Carano there, and they just ripped out under Favreau what he was trying to do. I think he's going to leave after he's done with what he's doing with the movie and maybe one more series, and he's out. I don't think they're going to be able to retain him, which is going to be a really bad thing for Disney. But it's probably good, because then maybe they'll fire Kathleen Kennedy and we can be done with this bullshit. Because, like, they won't. You know what they did, right? They have decided in their infinite wisdom that they were going to make a new trilogy of movies around a character that nobody liked to begin with. So we're bringing back Rey to start up the whole Jedi Temple thing again. And it's like, nobody asked for that. Nobody wanted that to begin with.
I kind of like Rey's character a little bit. I knew what type of Jedi she was going to be even before they, showed us. Mm-hmm. But I like their character. And I'm a Star Wars fan, man. So I'm always, looking forward to the next one. Usually a lot of people will talk crap about, the Star Wars, Rogue One, Solo, all those in between.
No, Rogue One was great. I loved Rogue One.
I enjoyed those movies, though. I enjoyed Solo. I really enjoyed watching that movie. Everyone has their own preference, but true Star Wars fans, man, they like the storylines, and they like to see some of their favorite characters actually, have their own story. Now, with Rey, this would be pretty interesting to me on how she's going to rebuild the Jedi Empire. And
maybe I
would really like to see it. I'd really like to see how she's going to find all these Jedis. And
the reason why people are upset with it is because that was supposed to be Luke Skywalker's arc, right? So that was supposed to be him doing that, and so them just putting it onto Rey, people feel betrayed, because that's what the alternate stuff, like all the extended universe books and things that's what Luke Skywalker did in those books, and people wanted to see that instead of what they did, where they turned Luke into a man-child, basically, who gave up on everything.
Yeah, but don't count Luke out. They're probably going to still have Luke in there talking to her through the Force. So he's probably still going to be in the movies. I don't think they're that dumb to go that far away from that storyline. Right. So they have to put Luke in there somewhere. It's just going to be, he's not going to be the main person, but he's still going to have a lot of influence in the story.
Yeah. It's just the point for me that the culture war today is just making things so difficult for things to be made, and for it to not be tainted with politics and DEI and all the other nonsense that we have. So and then we have the next thing I wanted to bring up, which was Jada Pinkett Smith's new documentary, where it forgets that Cleopatra was Greek, because she was Greek
Macedonian.
Yeah, Greek Macedonian, because you don't like it when people put on black, like white faces on black characters, but it's completely fine to misrepresent what a person was just to fit what you want to shove in there. Like, there was Anne Boleyn recently that they did. There's like, she's black now. Right? And Tinkerbell, she's black now. Like, come on, dudes. Like, I get representation. I'm all for having cool black characters that we can all enjoy. Just make new ones and quit trying to do the hand-me-downs. That's what really people are annoyed with, is the hand-me-down stuff, right?
And there was a lot more. There was a lot of black, kings and queens in that time frame. Very Sheba. Who else? There's another queen, Nefertiti. There's so many more that they could have did a story on, but they had to take Cleopatra. And what a lot of people do, a lot of people always say, they don't read the history of her. They don't read where she comes. All they know is she was born in Egypt. Egypt is Africa.
Egypt
she was born
Arab,
there.
Technically, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, she might have been born there, but you need to look at her parents. Her parents weren't from Egypt.
No, they were Ptolemies, which was a Macedonian Greek family. Yeah. So
a lot of people don't know the history. They just, she's born in Egypt, so she's African automatically. And well, come on, man, get over it. Come on, it's not even, to me, it's not even worth.
No, it's not.
Going to go see.
It's just one of the things. Is like, for people who say that they're not trying to be racist to white people or whatever, they tend to do stuff really hard to make it seem like that, to give white supremacists everything that they're asking for. You know what I mean? It's like, we should separate from each other, and we should like do our own thing, or we should replace people's faces with other people's faces. It's like, come on, man. Why are you doing that? It's like, why are you giving this to these people?
Even if you go on Twitter, man, you see a lot of Egyptians. There's a lot of Greeks on there, and they're voicing their opinion about it. Yep. They're like, no, that's not true. Us Greeks, we know the true history of, Cleopatra. You have Egyptians saying the same thing. Hey, that's not correct. She wasn't black or whatever skin color. She was this, and she looked like this. This is known. We are taught this. But, in true American form, woke America, they got to change everything to make people feel more inclusive. It's not going to work.
It's just insane people, man. Like,
it's going to flop.
Oh yeah,
it's going to flop. Guarantee.
Yeah, it's just it's rich lady fan fiction. That's what it is. If you really want to like break it down, it was fan fiction for Jada Pinkett Smith, and she just wanted to make a feel good documentary. I say that loosely, documentary.
I feel sorry for the world, man. That's why
She's
people
the
need
worst thing to happen to Will Smith.
Yeah, that's why people need to educate themselves, man. Stop allowing these damn celebrities to show you what they think is, true. You need to educate yourself and read the true history of Cleopatra. Read it, and you'll be surprised of what she was. And she's not what you think she is. I know all of us want to be queens and kings and stuff. We want to be all that, but not all of us were kings and queens. Come on, get over it.
It's the same way with the Woman King recently, where they were taking the tribe that was the most active in slavers to being heroes, which is like, that's not true. It's not true at all.
Historically incorrect.
It's historic fan fiction. That's exactly what we need to call these things. They are historic fan fiction, and it's dumb.
I mean, if you look at even though I like the last Wakanda, I was kind of iffy about watching it. I did like it. Pretty good storyline, but you saw the wokeness in that one too.
Yeah, and racist. It was totally racist.
It was racist and totally woke. But that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
it's okay for them to say it's racist when we're talking about Mexicans coming into the United States, but it's totally okay for a Aztec trying to break into Wakanda for that to not be okay.
Yeah, we got to go to war over that.
We got to go to war where they're coming into our states. We got to keep them mothers out. Right?
Isn't that ironic?
I know, right? It's like, that sounds oddly familiar to me. Coming from the South, it's like we're gonna keep them people out of our backyards. You know what I mean?
And the funny thing, you look pretty Mexican to me,
right?
So, like, what are you guys trying to say?
And the funniest thing about that whole movie is that the only way to defeat the bad guy was to dry his back.
So messed up.
I know, right? It's like,
dry him out.
I know. It's like, so how do we defeat a Mexican? We dry his back.
That was so messed up. I was kind of like, that was a cringe moment. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, no, that was if that had been a complete room of white writers that had wrote that, I'm sure it would have gone down much worse, especially if it was like all the Avengers. Like, how do we beat the Mexican dude? Let's try his back. Brilliant writing, my friends. Brilliant writing.
Leads to brokenness.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with dating nowadays too. Leading into the next topic I wanted to talk about was the footballer who is going through a divorce recently. His name is, what was it? Arash. I can't pronounce his first name. It's Hakimi's wife.
Pronounce it.
All right, what is it?
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Hakimi's wife is seeking half his fortune after divorce. Discovers he owns nothing. So I'm going to read the article for you. Footballer Hakimi, who plays for the Moroccan national team as well as for the League One club Paris Saint-Germain, recently hogged the headlines when reports of his ex-wife demanded half his fortune in a divorce settlement went viral. The couple first got together in 2018 when Hakimi was just 19 years old. By the way, this is a good point. He was 19 and she was 31. That should tell you something in itself, right? And after a whirlwind romance of 5 years, they anticipated she would get half of his $70 million fortune as they approached a separation. However, the situation turned on a 360 when she found out that Hakimi owns none of his fortunes. The ultimate Uno reverse came about when the court informed a book, or that's her name, I guess, that her millionaire husband owns none of his assets. All of the football star's assets were under his mom's name.
Touche. I like it.
Oh my God. That is brilliant.
Men out there, you rich men, you men that have wealth, you freaking high value men, pay attention.
Yeah. So this dude was accused of molesting somebody or doing something sexual impropriety, and that's the reason for the divorce. There is a rumor going around that the wife set this up in order to secure the divorce, but she didn't know that he didn't have any money,
and he gave it all
to Mama Dearie,
his mother.
Right. So, like, what it was is, I think when he was first becoming a football star, his mother was probably worried that he was going to blow his money, right? I think that's really what it comes down to. So his mother was worried that he was going to blow his money. She didn't want to him ending up being like all the other football stars out there. American football and European football, doesn't matter. When these young guys get a windfall of money, they always blow their wad, right? Every single time they're broke right before they get out. So his mom probably was trying to save him from that. Now, here comes this gold digging bitch. Right?
She takes my money.
Right.
When I'm in need.
Exactly. So here comes this gold digging bitch who's like, I'm going to take this young dude's money when we divorce. But like I said, she didn't know. And it's like, this is the best sort of like keep your money safe kind of situation, because it doesn't matter if you got a prenup or not. If you ain't got the money, you ain't got the money. Period.
That's right. I mean, on the outside looking in, that's a red flag. That should have been a red flag. You got this 30-something-year-old lady wanting to date this marry this up and coming 19-year-old football star. Red flag.
That should have been a red flag.
Yeah, that should have been a red flag.
Mommy was protecting him.
Oh, that's what Mommy. It was. Everybody needs a mother like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
I got one like that. She'd be like, oh, hell no.
Hell no.
And I'm 40-some years old, and my mom would still be like, no.
But like I said, that's the state of the culture we're is that it is not beneficial for men to marry anymore. Like, honestly, if we're looking at the raw data and numbers, 80% of all divorces are initiated by women, right? Marriages, on average, have a coin flip chance of making it. So you have an 80% chance of your wife divorcing you, and it's only a 50-50 chance to be married and stay married to begin with. Not only that, you lose all your assets and you lose access to your kids. It is a losing game for men to marry, period.
That's right. That is. And, the modern day women is another reason a lot of men aren't getting married or aren't dating. You got these modern feminist women, the boss bitches, the ones that I'm a boss, I'm a queen, I'm a boss. And they go around talking about how much they don't need men.
How much we don't need men.
Believe it or not,
sucky.
believe it or not, men are saying the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why you create things like the passport bros. You know what I mean? And they get mad about that. Okay,
yeah.
The passport bros were created because of modern feminist American women.
Right.
Men are tired of it. So this is why, the men aren't really actively out here looking. There are some, of course, but like me, I'm a single guy. I'm not on any dating sites. I'm not doing none of that stuff. I'm not actively looking. She gonna have to fall on my damn lap, because I'm not putting myself out there like that again.
And like I said, it's like I'm not trying to hate on women. Women are great. It's just the point that modern feminism has lied to women so much that they have shot themselves in the foot for keeping and retaining a good man. That's for sure. It just saddens me because that's what we need more of. Is we need more families. We need more families together and people to be together. And the fact that it is getting increasingly harder for men to find and stay in relationships, it just shows the detriment of what the culture war is doing to society and our lives. We don't have family units like we did 50 years ago, and it's to the detriment of our children that that's the case.
Yep.
It's sad. It really is.
And, that's always been the goal, man. And, you got to look at it in the big picture, get rid of the nuclear family, you know, and that's always been their goal. We can't have happy families, happy households. We can't have that. We got to make men and women pretty much despise each other.
Yep.
And the way we make them despise each other is by throwing out, little things out there to make being single, make it look good, make it look better. So they started doing that, and they started offering kickbacks for single moms. They started doing this. They started making dads, fathers, the enemy, the bad guy,
Yep.
So, and then that's why men are running. They're tired. I know I have a buddy right now who's tired, man. And I was talking to him earlier today, and I was just like, hey, man, sometimes don't always think a happy home, that old term, happy life, happy wife, whatever.
Happy wife, happy life, yeah.
Happy wife, happy life, or whatever. That's bull crap. Because your happiness should always, I don't give a damn. I'm saying this right here live. Your personal happiness should always come first. Yeah. Because if you're not happy, no one's happy. So you have to take care of yourself.
It's one of those uncomfortable topics that people have when it comes to modern feminism, is that they don't really want equality. They want power over men. And that's the difference, is that if you want a true equality, then that comes with all the bad shit along with it. You know what I mean? It's like, you want to sign up for the draft? That's a part of it. That's equality right there.
Well, that's changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Technically it has already changed. You want to know why?
Why?
Transgender women. Oh, you're a woman now, but you already signed up for the selective service. Welcome to the draft.
I saw a skit about that I thought was hilarious. By the way,
true.
It is true.
It is true.
And
ladies,
then if
you can thank these transgender women for making them make you join the draft. Thank them.
Right. And then there's also the fact that in divorce, like, you don't get custody of your kids, you don't get to keep your income, you don't get to you have to pay alimony. Like, there's a lot of things about being a man that just absolutely sucks. Or like when it comes to the assumption of defense, like when somebody busts through the door, who's the first one supposed to be the meat shield coming through? That's supposed to be the man, yeah? It's like, what's going to make you feel attracted to somebody is if your man protects you or he puts you in front of him as a meat shield.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, you're not going to be attracted to that, ever.
And we've heard it over and over again. If you look at its stats, just like you quoted stats about marriage and all this other stuff, suicide rates, injuries on the job, dangerous jobs men do. And we still get the short end of the stick. A lot of times, man, and not every time, but there are times where the man wasn't at fault in that failed marriage. Yeah. And the woman was at fault, and she still gets everything. The man gets screwed. You know what I mean? They don't care. They don't care what you got. They don't care if you got a house to pay for, you got a second house, and you still got to support them, and you still got to take care of your stuff. And the courts don't care. The reason the courts don't care, because it's a Ponzi scheme. The courts, anything that's done through the court system, there's a third party that's involved. Whenever you pay child support through a third party, the money goes to whatever agency you have to pay it to first.
Yep.
They take a cut, and then send the rest to the mother. So they're getting kickbacks for all of this stuff.
Well, it's the same thing with prisons and everything else. Everybody's getting kickbacks for all the things that you think are necessary, right?
I mean, I got lucky. Our divorce, my son's 18 now, but ours was it wasn't through a third party. It was, we were both in the military. They was like, set up your allotment. And I did that for 18 years. So,
yep. And that just goes to show is like where we are as a society in America is like the state of the culture war is absolutely wrecking everything in our lives. And I'm worried. I really am. I'm worried, especially with the transgenderism stuff and our kids. Like, dude, like that which comes to the next topic, going into Dylan Mulvaney, our favorite person in the world, right? So
I got my theory on that guy.
Yeah, I know. There's tons of theories with that, but this has been a fiasco for Bud Light. Honestly, they have lost so much damn money because of that. My dog's chewing up a plastic bottle next to me, and that's really distracting. Anyway, so Bud Light has shot themselves in the foot because their base consumer is not a woke ideology person. Period. I don't know what in their right mind would make them do that. So like they're coming out and saying that it wasn't us. It was this VP of marketing. It was all her thing. We had no idea it was happening. Right. So what the story is that they sent out promotional cans to Dylan Mulvaney like they do for any other influencer. Right. And this dumbass decided, hey, they're going to make cans of me. This is great. And so posted it all over social media. They weren't actually going to make cans, but this narcissistic asshole decided, I'm going to show everybody what I got because I'm so important and amazing. And so that's what happened with that promotion. So like they probably did want to do a sponsorship, maybe, but because of that, they didn't continue on with it, but the backlash was enough to make them lose over 5% of their market cap, which comes out to a few $1 billion. We're not in like millions. We're talking billions of dollars because of this. That is a lot of money.
It sure is. And like I said, I have my theory on that guy.
Yeah.
All right. I think, this is me, I think he's just cosplaying for clout.
That is honestly what a lot of other people think too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
He might be part of that community. You know, he might be a gay man, but I think this whole women and watch my journey and all this, I think it was for clout. For one, he's an actor. If you look him up, he has been to some type of schooling for acting, and this is an act. And he figured out a way how he can make a lot of money with this whole transgender thing going on these days. He figured out a way he can make a lot of money pushing this transgenderism, this transition. The dude, did you see the video where James O'Keefe cornered him?
No.
Yeah, look it up after this. Yeah, look it up. James O'Keefe, you know him. He's not part of Project Veritas anymore, but you know, James O'Keefe came up to him and was questioning him about a lot of stuff. And Dylan was running. He was just running. He's dressed like he's in some 1940s freaking The Help movie, you know, with the hair, like, I don't know what that hairstyle's called.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Dylan Mulvaney is basically Sacha Baron Cohen, like live action. That's what he is. He's a Sacha Baron Cohen character in real life. That's what it is. Like if you were to watch The Dictator or any of the other shows that Sacha Baron Cohen is, that's what he is. He's just a characterization of a person playing a woman. That's what Dylan Mulvaney is. And
he's playing a really good role in it. You know, he's playing. Then he's got his little buddy that's in videos with him, and the guy's got like a 5 o'clock shadow, and now they're both talking about it's just weird to me, man. I get it. Everyone live your life how you want to. I don't care. I don't care if you want to dress like a dang kangaroo and walk around the city. That's you. That's your life. But do not try to shame me for not accepting it.
Yep.
And of course, that old term, the term that's been going around, it's going to continue to go around. Stay the hell away from the kids.
Yeah.
Stay the hell away from them.
Most people wouldn't have an issue with this if they would stop bringing kids into it, right?
That's
Where
right.
we see over and over and over again of people including teachers, convincing children to transition when they're already confused in impressionable ages.
Yes.
And they still keep saying, oh, but it's for their own good. We should do it to affirm themselves. It's like, genital mutilation is not affirming care. I don't care what you want to call it. That is not affirming care. If you're cutting off body parts, that is insane.
And it's not the teachers, as we all know, it's not their job to talk to a child about a life decision like that. You know, if the parents are like one of those progressive parents, they're like, hey, you know, I'm gonna support my kid, you know, blah, blah, blah. The kid can barely tell the time, but yet you want to take them in there to chop off their wiener. You know, when my son was little, he used to carry a purse around like his mom. He didn't know. He was just mimicking, you know?
Yep.
He stopped doing that years ago, but I didn't get mad because he was just mimicking his mom. That's all he was doing. He was little. He was like
called play. That's what children do.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
But so you're telling me these kids know? Like, they know? Kids don't know. Their brains are still developing. They don't even know really what a boy and girl is. They can look at a boy and say that's a boy, but they don't know how the body works, how the body functions, how everything you do, everything on your body was meant to pretty much stay there unless it's killing you. And if you take it away, it's going to cause you more problems down the line. And we've seen this.
Yeah, and we're going to keep seeing it. That's the problem, is that they're targeting kids in a way that it's not a natural occurrence. Like, there's too many trans kids that exist now than there should be.
Pull up those stats. I think there's a stat on it.
I should say it's at least doubled.
Gen Z. Yeah, Gen Z is the highest number of trans, and you know, I think boomers are way down there. Then you got Gen X right above boomers. Then you got the millennials, elder millennials.
Right. Yeah.
And then Gen Z, man, just skyrockets. And it's just like the problem with Gen Z is, for one, social media.
Yeah.
You know, that's all they see. They're on TikTok, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitch, they're on just every single YouTube. They're on all these social media platforms. So this is what they're seeing. And it's a fad to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's trending. They want to be part of something. They want to be part of the in crowd. So everyone is transgender or binary or non-binary or whatever, or furry, or, I mean, have you seen the list of genders? Like,
I have not, but it's one of those things that we need. Like, honestly, in all honest to God, the LGB community needs to cut off the tail. That's what they really. They just need to cut off the tail and be done with all that nonsense, because they are not representative of the same things. They want totally different things. Like, you cannot convince a lesbian that a trans man is that, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, a trans woman is a woman.
Is a woman. Right?
Yeah.
But when you ask most transgender women or men, most of them date their sex. Yeah. So trans women usually date men. Mm-hmm. So why aren't you just gay? I mean, aren't you?
Yeah. That's another question that's been brought up in the community, is that most of these kids that they're trying to transition just would have grown up to be gay. That's probably all it is. And instead of now there being more gay men and women, now they're transitioning them and then doing genital mutilation, so they never have any sexual desire, period, later on in life. Because that's what people don't want to talk about, is that the fact that they're saying it's a gender affirming care, and it's like, this is not care, this is mutilation and butchery, is what you should really acknowledge it as. Because, like, I even consider circumcision butchery. I'm an anti-circumcision person, period, because
you got a turtleneck. You got a turtleneck.
No, I'm circumcised, but that's not the point. It's like I didn't have a choice in that. But here's the thing: is like, that skin has the majority of your nerve centers for your penis, for your pleasure, right? It gets cut off by somebody else against your will, right? Yeah. So you lose more than half of your sensation when you get rid of it.
Oof. Imagine that. Have to be like,
right? But it's just
having seizures and shit.
But it's just the point, is that it's the same thing as, like, you wouldn't cut off a clitoris either, you know?
That's true.
So it's the same thing. It's like any sort of mutilation like that when it comes to genital parts, I'm totally against. I don't like that. I don't even like fixing my dog. I had to because I didn't want to get a fucking fine, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you make a pretty good point there. But, you know, the thing with a lot of these transitioning adults, kids, whatever, I think there was this young girl, I forget her name. She started to transition at the age of 12 or something, really young.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And then she got older and figured out she made a mistake and transition. You know, they usually transition back.
They transition back, but it's too late.
But it's too late. They already got all the hormones and everything else in. So they have to go through a whole nother process. And everyone's like, well, you know, suicide amongst transgender children are, you know, such and such and such and such. Well, if for a mental disorder, a lot of these kids have mental disorders, believe it or not, and adults, they have mental disorders. With those mental disorders, they're probably taking some type of medication, right?
Yeah.
It's a known fact that certain types of medications give you those suicidal ideologies. Not all, some. So a lot of these medications that these kids are taking, whether it's for depression, whether it's for anxiety or something, is giving them those suicidal ideologies. So imagine being a trans kid or a kid that's confused at the age of 10, 11. You're so confused because you don't really understand what being gay is as a male, as a young boy. But in your mind, you have all these feminine tendencies and you're confused, you know, and then you go into a stage of depression because you don't know what you are. So your parents do what? They put you on medication. What does that medication do? It messes up your head. And that's where the suicidal ideologies come from. That's just my opinion.
Not all medicines fit every person, and so it's hard to find the right connection of combination of medications for a person who has issues. And there are legitimate medications that are used for issues. Like the thing that the stigma that we have for people with ADHD is that they're just trying to get drugs, right? Because there's too many neurotypical people that go into the doctor saying, hey, I need Adderall so I can get my test done, right? They're just doing it as a way to get their uppers in order to complete their freaking assignments. Whereas people like myself and others need it in order to actually function normally. Right? Like, we're just trying to get the base level. You're just trying to get high. And so now, like, there's that stigma of, like, people that are just going to get it are getting it for not nefarious purposes, right? Same thing with, like, the weed card, right? They're getting it to get high. They're not trying to actually fix anything for most of these people.
That's true.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is one of the main reasons why a lot of these people, man, if you look at a lot of these people that are, you know, transgender or whatever, you know, whatever. Yeah. Have you ever like looked at the majority of their faces, like really looked at them? They all got this kind of weird look, like they're like everything's not connecting up there. You know what I mean? They all look the same. And if we start addressing mental health with them, like really addressing mental health is the cause for a lot of reasons in this country, a lot.
Absolutely.
Instead of automatic targeting and saying you're a girl, I'm gonna let you be a girl, hold on, let's figure this out. There's a mental issue there, mental dysphoria. What is it? Dysphoria. Yep. Let's figure this out first. Now we can go and try to get you help and try to figure it out first. Then if for some reason, when you get to a certain age, you feel you want to do it, so be it. Yeah. So be it. But let's attack the root problem first, which is mental health. And
that's what I've said is like the uncomfortable conversation that we need to be having about this is that, do we consider transgenderism to be a neurological disease or a disorder, right? Or not? Because we need to make that decision. If you're saying that it is not a disease, then it doesn't need to be covered under the DSM-5, right? If you're saying it's perfectly normal to be transgender, then you have to get rid of the medical component. And people don't want to do that because then it makes all of those surgeries non-medical. They are non-necessary surgeries, so they're elective surgeries. They're plastic surgery now, and they're not being covered by insurance. That's the only reason they don't want to have this conversation on if it is a normal process to have gender dysphoria or not. And why did they want to have this conversation? Because of money, obviously. It's always money. It always comes down to money. It's always money. Because you get these people cut up and make holes in them and whatnot, and now they're dependent on the system for the rest of their lives. They're dependent on medications and the pharmaceutical industries every single time. You know how much it costs in order to get some of these surgeries done? $100,000 at the very minimum. $100,000 in order to get transitions done like this. We're not talking. We're talking just the surgeries themselves. We're not talking the medications or anything else. It's just the surgeries for top surgeries, bottom surgeries, all that stuff. We're talking at least $100,000. That is a rich person's problem, my friend. I don't see anybody in the lower echelons being able to manage that sort of surgery unless they want to go into medical debt, which the majority of debt in the United States is medical debt, by the way, if you didn't know.
Yes.
It's all the unpaid medical debt out there. Most of us have it. Right,
Yes.
and they're never going to get it. I just think there are bigger issues that we should be arguing about, whether or not we should chop off dicks or not. Like that's one of the things that I find absolutely insane about today's day and age is that
if you're an adult, have at it. You know what I mean?
You want to cut off your arm, do it. You want to cut off your dick, do it. I don't care. It's not my body.
When it comes to children, you know, there's a lot of things even parents can't do with their children. And this is what people don't understand. They're like, well, the parent wants to do it. I get it, man. You know, they are the parent. But there are a lot of things that we can't even do with our own children. We can't neglect them. We have to feed them. Certain states, you can't hit them. You can't discipline them a certain way. Yeah, certain states. So there's certain things, but we're allowed to take them to the doctor and get their wee-wee chopped off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I can't spank my kid for stealing from the grocery store. I'm not allowed to do that. But you can go take him and get his wee-wee cut off, though.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. So there has to be boundaries set. So someone has to come out and say, look, parents, that is a form of child abuse, period. If you take your kid and you pump them full of estrogen or testosterone and you chop out their genitals and you change their genitals, and they grow up to become such and such, and they grow up to become crazy, they can go back and sue the parent for doing that because the kid, they didn't understand. So the minute you start putting stipulations in there, like, well, if they get older, you know, they can sue you if they want to reverse it. And then you'll start seeing parents change. Oh, you're not doing that till you're 18. Have a way when you're 18.
It shouldn't be allowed. Babylon B had an excellent skit about this where like a kid came in there and said, hey, can I buy some cigarettes? Can I buy a gun? Can I do this, that, right? And at the end, it's like, okay, well, can I do an irreversible surgery? And they're like, oh, yeah, when you want to start, and just pulls out like a rusty saw and like to chop off this chick's tits or something. And it's like, man, that's uncomfortable.
I was listening to a very good TikTok debates, and you know, with debates on TikTok, they're hit or miss, man. You know, sometimes just a bunch of people jibber jabber, but this guy actually follow him, and he does have a lot of control in his room. But they had this transgender in there, and one of the ladies, I follow her too. She was like, "Why is it so important for a transsexual woman to go into the female's bathroom?" And she kept asking this, why is it so important? Because you don't see, you know, tranny men fighting to get into the men's bathroom. You don't see stuff like that. You know what I mean? You don't, it's always the trans women that are always trying to do these odd things. You don't see transsexual men doing drag shows in front of, you know, kids. It's always a trans woman. It's always men doing it. These crusty men. You don't see the women who are men doing the things. You don't see the women who are men or think they're men going out and playing football and, you know, jumping in the boxing ring with freaking Manny Pacquiao. You don't see that.
Right.
But you always see these dudes that transition to a woman that want to go in there and pounce on women. I just don't get it. So what you're telling me is it's that since they're acting like a woman, it's okay for them to beat a woman. You know what I mean? Because in a man's world, men shouldn't. I don't give a damn. If you dress like a woman, you're still a man. You shouldn't be in there beating on a woman, but it's accepted. That's weird to me.
Right.
You know what? Isn't it weird? That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it's just like if a trans man was beating up a woman, and if you presented really good like a man, you're probably getting your block knocked off. It's gonna happen. Like if it's, I'm just waiting for that day where it's like, oh, it's a hate crime. Why? Because this dude, this woman that looked like a dude was beating a woman. I thought it was a dude beating a woman, and so I hit him. or hit her.
No,
I don't know what.
Here's what would happen. Say that happened. There was a transgender man pouncing on a chick. I mean, it'd be hard because it's still a female. They fight like females unless they're freaking Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
But, say they're just pouncing on this, this Barbie chick and just pouncing, and some dude runs up like, hey, dude, what are you doing? I'm a woman. Now you're a woman at that point. I'm a woman now, but you say you're a man all day until you got to stand toe to toe with a real man. Now you're a woman again. You just hit a girl. Wait, I thought it was a dude.
Yeah.
And the same thing, with these transition women, these tranny women. Mm-hmm. They're bigger than natural women. They're stronger in most cases. They're stronger. Yeah. So if you see this big 6'2" woman beating on another woman, what are you going to do? You're going to stand there and just be like, "Well,
most people are probably going to stand there. It's like, I'm not getting involved in a chick fight. That's not happening, because that's usually what happens. Chicks are fighting. No dude's going to step in there. But if a dude's beating up a woman, we're going to step in, probably, right? That's what happens.
But what would happen in the court system? See, this is where it becomes iffy. Because, in the court system, if, say, she sued and the prosecution was like, oh, but even though they identify as a woman, they still have male hormones. So technically, there's still a man who beat the crap out of this woman. Yep. But, the way the system works now, they're going to be like, they're still a woman because they're throwing these dudes in female jails and they're going in there raping women.
And getting them pregnant, too, yeah.
It's just like, what the hell is going on?
The world.
What the hell? What the hell is going on?
This timeline sucks. That's all I gotta say.
All right, let's say you went out and committed a crime, right? And it was like it's a 6-foot male, about 230 pounds, and then you go home, shave your beard off, put on a wig, put on a dress. You be like, I'm a woman. I'm not no. They're gonna be looking at you like, we have I'm confused, but what's your name, sir, ma'am? It's Carol, or K, not Koe. It's K.
It's K. I'm K here.
So now the description was a man, man. And then they come up on you, you're acting like a woman, you're carrying yourself like a woman and all this. What do?
Yeah.
Because with the society nowadays, they're going to be like, oh, they just arrested that transgender woman and blah, 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 So it's a lot of things. And also, before, I don't want to go, I know you got to say something, but remember that UFC fighter that won that transition from male to female?
Did you see Fallon Fox? Fallon Fox, that's what it was.
Did you see the last fight?
Broke her skull.
Where it lasted like 2 seconds and he fought a female and it was like over in 2 seconds. That's the type of stuff that's okay.
Yeah.
Real men look at that and be like, that's just a dude that hates women and probably transition and just wants to go in there and beat on a woman.
Yeah.
But God forbid we say something like that,
It's
God forbid.
It's messed up, man. Like I said, this whole timeline sucks. And I don't know where we go from here, especially with everything that's going on. Before we head out, I wanted to get to one last story, which is the 21-year-old that got arrested for the leaks this week. Do you know the whole story of this one?
Yeah, I know he was an Air National Guard guy.
Yeah, he was an Air National Guard guy.
He was putting stuff out on Reddit and Twitch, I think.
It wasn't on Reddit. It was on Discord, right? So what happened?
Oh yeah, Discord. Okay.
What happened is that Tashera was sharing in a Minecraft. This is stupid. On a Minecraft gaming gun server, right, on Discord, with a bunch of teenagers, right? So this dude's 20 years old, right? He's clout chasing with younger kids, trying to impress them and like how cool I am with all these secret documents. At least that's the narrative that the government's going with and mainstream media is going with, right? Is that this dude had this stuff, right? And so they're saying that he's been posting classified documents since January in Discord, since January, right? And that these documents are real, but they may have been doctored a little. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, if he's been the only one posting these and you originally saying they were Russian because the numbers changed, it's like, who's really doctoring those documents if he's just taking pictures of them and posting them online? Because originally he was doing was verbatim typing out what all these documents said, and he got too lazy about it and he's like, I don't want to do that anymore, and started taking pictures. That's what he started doing, right? So like this dude's job, just so you know, This will make a lot more sense once I read his job description to you.
Yeah, I want to know it.
Okay, so this is the United States Air Force Reddit. He was a 3D1X2 cyber transport system specialist, right? They are a top secret clearance, and they're also an electronics communication MOS, right? So basically, they are cable runners and software like installers and things like that. So my theory is this little E4 Mafia type of dude had access to an 06 or something above stuff in the skiff, and he was going through the computers just taking pictures of shit he saw. That's all it was. He didn't have access to these. It was just some lazy 06 or something, or even like lower, saying, hey, come look at my computer, it's broken, because I don't know computers and shit, and that's your job.
Exactly. And, I was thinking the same thing because, but having a clearance, being senior NCO, I had a clearance just about the majority of my career. I had a clearance.
Yep.
And even as an E7 with a clearance, everything was on a need to know basis. Just because I had a clearance doesn't mean I had access to certain things. Even my privates that had clearance, if there was some type of briefing and some type of talk, whether they had a clearance or not, they said, no, it's only access for these people. So, exactly what you said. I think this kid was an admin or something, a computer guy.
Well,
had access.
I'll read it real quick.
Yeah, he can go back and say, and they have access to your computers at all times. And as an admin, they can go in and freaking gain shit.
Okay, so here's the description of what the everyday looks like for this guide. The common theme is performing some type of software maintenance, updating database and programming a network device, or building, repairing, replacing cabling that is similar to the cable connecting to your computer at home or router. There can also be a lot of downtime in this career field. All of your devices or circuits are optional. You can have very little to do. Many take advantage of this by studying for college certifications relevant to the job, whatever. So when you're troubleshooting an issue, basically troubleshooting IT. Basically, this dude's job was all IT, right? Like I said, so we had access to computers that weren't necessarily something he should have had access to, but because he has a top secret clearance, he did, right? And so this wasn't an S2 person leaking documents. It was just an IT dude who was chasing clout on a Discord server to his buddies and friends.
And for those of us that had some type of clearance, there's a maturity thing that comes with access also. You know what I mean? They're not going to let Joe Schmo or some young Lance Corporal go up in there and be like, here you go, buddy. Here's some top secret information for you.
Right, unless you're working in intelligence or you're this guy who's working in data.
And you're working in a skiff, and skiffs are very controlled. Even when I was working in a skiff, my computer, I was the only one that had access to it. Whenever I logged in, it kept track of my logins. You couldn't put no thumb drives in. There was cameras in there. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't even bring your phone in there. Your phone had to stay. You could never bring it in. If you did, that's a big no-no. So I'm wondering what type of security measures, if he was in there taking pictures or writing away at something, who was watching them? Like, how did this go on?
Honestly,
for the last
it was
3-4
probably negligence.
months?
It was negligence. What I imagine is that some higher up NCO or officer told this kid to go do his job, right? And like, nobody's going to be in there with you. Basically, go fix this shit is what they told him. And then he was in there by himself because nobody's watching the guy that's fixing this stuff. That's all it was, is negligence. They weren't watching after this kid. They didn't know what he was doing, and they were just like, whatever, do your job, and then F off, That was it.
And it was being delegated. So say it was an 06's computer, top secret. For one, I don't know why the Air National Guard would have all this information.
Well, he was TDY at Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay.
That's why he was.
All right, so he's at Fort Bragg. He's probably, I probably know where he was working. And usually when you deal with that level, if it was an 06 computer with that type of information, you're going to have like the chief of operations up there, generals, those type of people are seeing that type of information, and they disseminate it to who they want to disseminate it to.
Yeah.
Some of that information we don't see. And that should have been like an officer in there, if it wasn't a senior officer's computer, it should have been like a junior officer in there, doing the maintenance on it.
Right, or at least a senior staff doing it instead of like. But what happened is probably they delegated to the lowest dude and like, whatever, make the private go do it. Basically, is the attitude of what happened, and this is what you get is like It was just stupid. It's just stupid.
You know the
whole
old
thing.
term, shit rolls downhill. And I guarantee
there's a lot of people that got fired.
Yep. He's going to chirp like a bird. He's going to be like, they gave me access to it. And I don't know if he would have had a secret clearance, Matt, or a top secret.
He had a top secret clearance because that's what the job requires. Yeah. So
was it an interim?
Even me as like just little infantry dude, all I had was a secret. This guy had the top secret stuff. So he was on par with some of the lower like lances working in S2. Like he had the same sort of clearance.
Yeah, I mean, I can get it, but there's more that's going to come out to this story.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep watching on it. I mean, we're running a little late now because of that, but like I said, I think it smells too fishy for a lot of it. But then I can see the writing on the wall of like, I think this was just a really big F up. And there's going to be a lot of firings happening at Fort Bragg when it comes to that skiff. It's going to be bad.
Hey, this is going to be a precursor to the freaking what is that act? What's that act?
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to use this to push the Restrict Act. That's one of the main points I wanted to bring to this was that they're going to use this as an excuse to use the Restrict Act, even though all of this was negligence on like highest level. There's nothing they really could have done to fix this other than maybe vet your people better.
Yes.
That's it. So.
They should have vetted him before they gave him the clearance, but I guess he slipped through the motherfucking...
Slipped through the cracks, man. Oh, they're also basically painting this dude as a right-wing white supremacist type of person, so they're like trying to tie it to that side.
I think he's like Hispanic or Spanish or something. That last name isn't...
Teixeira? Yeah, no.
Teixeira, I think it's Spanish.
No, it's Teixeira. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
Of course, they're gonna. This is where it starts, man. They're gonna say he's a right winger. He probably didn't get paid for that. He didn't get any money for that information.
No, it was literally for clout. It wasn't for like leaking anything. It was just he was doing it for shits and giggles. But
somebody else probably got a hold of that information, and they're not worried. I don't think they really give a damn. I don't think they give a damn that he got the information. I think they give a damn that it got out. People are like, oh. No, is this what they're really doing in Ukraine?
Mm-hmm.
All the people know. So we'll see.
Every time that there's a leaker, if it's under a Democratic president, it's the worst thing ever. But if it's under like Donald Trump, it's the best thing ever. So they can find leakers. They just don't want to. It just depends on who the leaker is.
Yeah, the Whistleblower Act. Remember, they're against whistleblowers. No,
not even the whistleblower. When they break the law and they leak things they're not supposed to, like tax documents, for instance, they still haven't found the person that leaked all that stuff. They're not going to.
Oh, of course.
Or the person that leaked the Supreme Court document, right before Roe versus Wade got overturned.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody got in trouble for that either. Nah. Yeah.
Nah, they're threatening Supreme Court justices, going outside their house, threatening them and stuff.
An assassination attempt, no big deal. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal for that whole situation.
We're going to make an example out of a 20-year-old airman. We're going to nail him to the wall.
Basically, it's like this dude's life is over. He's going to jail for a long time. But, like,
if he's going to jail.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, they're going to use this as an excuse you push through the Restrict Act because we need to be able to monitor all softwares, like especially chat rooms like that, because that's where the leak was happening. So we need to do it to protect national security. And it's like, nah, man, that wouldn't have stopped any of that stuff, dude. It was just like, maybe you would have found him sooner, but it still would have gotten out. So.
Well, I know we got to go, but they also better they're thinking about the servers of, where was he streaming again on,
Discord?
Where'd you say? Discord. So, the servers of Discord, they're combing through that thing. Mm-hmm. Somebody's got that stuff, and that stuff is out there on the interweb. That stuff travels fast.
Yeah. Also, a bit of advice, people that use Discord, if you're on a Discord server that might be a bit iffy, you might want to get off there sometime soon. So, that'll be my final word for today.
I will log on to Discord. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, right. So anyway, that'll be it for us, guys. We'll be on next Sunday at 6. As always, you can find us through the week at the Savage Patriots at Fair Media. For them, we'll be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on there. We're going to be continuing some more war stuff Monday there as well. So,
yes. History. Read your history.
Follows America. We'll see you on Monday at the Savage Patriots. We love you. And we
are
out.